Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Delusional Talks with Yoo&I, aka your host Clara. Just as a disclaimer, if you guys are watching the video or are interested, the first episode does not have a video because there was I don't know, the video turned out really horribly. Yeah, but there is going to be a video now moving forward. So just look on Spotify. There's Spotify video and YouTube videos. So check those out. For today's episode, I wanted to talk about this concept called Inyeon. And I don't know if you guys know it, but it came out in past lives like a year or so ago. And basically it's just talking about this very like this big well-known Korean concept, and it's basically intertwined with this idea of fate. Inyeon is like one of those things that are really like believed in Korea, at least especially in my family. Inyeon is really talked about, and I kind of wanted to go into it because I think it goes into so many aspects of life, not only just relationship, friendships, any form of like relationships actually. And I didn't realize how much of an impact it had on my life and how I viewed like my relationships. So I kind of wanted to dive into it, and I felt like it was like trying to get into the psychology of things and how it actually plays into some of my delusions, which are not good. It's actually really interesting when I was watching past lives, because I feel like this concept is not very well known in America, or is it's not like widely talked about or accepted, because I do think it's different from soulmates, which I will get into a little bit later. But yeah, so I did want to talk about that, and I also wanted to talk about past lives because I have some controversial things about it. But yeah, so first let's begin with what is Inyeon. Inyeon, the way I think about it, it's one of those concepts where in Korean, like I could explain it perfectly because it's so embedded in my culture and how I think that like it just comes so naturally. But then when I'm trying to explain it to my friends, or like explain it to somebody who isn't really familiar with Inyeon, because I think it is a culturally based thing. I find it really hard to explain because it's not like soulmates, and it's not like necessarily like you're fated to one specific thing and you have no control of your life. But it's like, I guess the best way to explain it is fate. Like it is like you're fated to meet somebody, or you will run into them or something at some point in your life. Well, how I like to think about it is like what's meant for you will be for you, and it won't leave you. And okay, so one thing I want to mention is that I feel like sometimes that's associated with fate is that like you are destined to be like you're destined to do this and be with somebody or this, but and it kind of takes out this aspect of like control, that you have a sense of control in your future. But I'm a big believer of like, although what is meant for you will be for you, there's also this sense of freeing and individuality, or like this autonomy that you have in your life, that you get to control what is meant for you, if that makes sense. And it's kind of like, I don't know, if you think about it, it's like it can feel contradicting, but and for some reason it makes sense in my head that like what is meant for you is meant for you. But like at the end of the day, you have so much power in your life, and you get to decide what that is. And like kind of like a mind thing is like, because you get to control whatever choices you make, they all will be right for you, because it will get to the place that you were meant to be. Like everything has a choice. You have a choice in your life, and you need to act on it, because at the end of the day, you just need to trust in yourself. And I think that's kind of the concept of, well, my version of Inyeon. But in general, what Inyeon is just that you are fated to, for example, meet somebody at some point of your life and at different timestamps. Inyeon means providence or fate, and is often used to describe the connection between people in relationships. It can also refer to the karmic affinity, or cause and effect. Yeah, and in past lives they explained it as it's described as people are destined to cross paths because they shared something in a previous life. I think the biggest concept of Inyeon that was presented in past lives was this idea that people are destined to cross paths over multiple lifetimes. And I think that's like the more philosophical cultural aspect of Inyeon, that's more like, I guess, the most accurate, the roots of what Inyeon means. I don't take it, I don't know about past lifetimes. I don't know about like multiple lifetimes or anything of that sort, but I do believe in the concept of Inyeon in like my lifetime and like what I'm experiencing right now. And I don't know what it is about it, but it's so, I think it's just, I don't know. I don't know why I believe in it so much because there's no like scientific thing about it. It's like sometimes I feel like it's like a gut feeling, and like it's not like a gut feeling, but it's like this, I don't know. I don't know what it is. But when I was watching past lives, okay, so my thing about past lives, okay, guys, really quickly, I'm going to talk about past lives because I have an opinion, a controversial opinion. I didn't really like it that much. And I'm going to rewatch it soon, sometime. I don't know when, but I want to rewatch it because I wanted to see why so many people like, because I think I had such high expectations about it, given that I'm Korean and I really believe in Inyeon, and I was like so excited to watch it because I really love the concept, and it's not like it hasn't been shown in media as much or like at all really in like American media. And so I was really excited to watch it, and when I watched it, it was just not my cup of tea. And I think it came down because like it came down to the idea that like I don't think it represented Inyeon the way that I thought about Inyeon. And I think that could be like such a narrow-minded thing, but it didn't, like, I don't think there was much development in the characters. Like it kind of like sped, like I don't think there was enough time for me to like really, like, I wasn't attached to the characters. And it kind of like just showed, spoiler alert, but like okay, I'm not going to spoil it actually. But it like just showed like glimpses of their relationship without like really depth, without much depth. So like when it came to like the parts of like the middle, they were doing their separate things and stuff. Like I don't know, it just kind of felt like everything was segmented into different parts without a real big connection. Although I did understand the concept and I did really like think it was like, I think the movie itself and like the story was beautiful. And I just wanted to rewatch it because a lot of people cried at the end, and I totally understand that emotional like thing, and I feel like I'll understand it like better, I guess, of watching it a second time, because I think I was like I was very tunnel visioning on this like concept because I thought like I had it all in my head. So like these expectations made me tunnel vision and not really see the movie for what it is. So I'm gonna rewatch it. And I watched it with my friend and she also had the same thing. So I don't know if it's just us, because we were like questioning ourselves. We were like, is it just us? Are we the issue? Did we just not like do it right? Like, did we not watch it right? Did we even watch the same movie? But sorry, that was like an exaggeration, but like yeah, there was just like things about it that like didn't really sit right with me. But also I think like I was just like being really picky or something. I don't know what it was, because like when I was analyzing it with my other friend, like he really loved it, so I was talking to him about it. But I did notice it was just really hard to explain my thought process on the concept, because the concept is just so like, I don't know, it's so culturally embedded, but I keep on saying that, so I'm not going to say it anymore. Um but yeah, so that's my little spiel about past lives. But I do really think that it comes back to like this concept of like, if it's meant to be, it will be for me. And I think that's something that really motivates and inspires people through heartbreak, relationship, like just relationships, breakups, hard times. And for me, Inyeon is that concept of like that motivator and that meaning behind what's meant for me will be for me. And when I go through like really tough times, like whether that was heartbreak or, friendship breakups, or actually I've never experienced a friendship breakup. Like, so like when it comes to like I don't know, just like really hard times, I really like to remind myself that all of these things are happening for a reason. They're supposed to teach me something, and even if it's not the way that I want to do it, it will get me to the goal that I will want, or even if that goal ultimately changes, it's for the better of myself. And that's kind of what keeps me super, super motivated in life, and also really trust in myself and the things that are happening, because sometimes life can feel really, really, really shitty, and there's nothing I can do about it except, like be okay with it, because it's happening, right? But sometimes when I feel like I'm losing so much control in my life, and I just do so much to try to have control, it just goes the opposite direction, Like, the best thing to do in your life when is to just not control things. Like, I feel like it gets worse when you really, really try to control a situation and be like, I need it to work the way that I want it to, and it's not going to work the way you want it to. But like, I think the one of the greatest things I learned is that even if it doesn't have to go the way that you want it to for you to get what you want, because sometimes the things that you want, it will happen the way it needs to happen, and that's not always like how you predict it, or sometimes we want it. Sometimes our wants are just like temporary feelings of satisfaction, like the feeling, it's like feeling satisfied, but you think you're going to be satisfied, but it's not actually giving you that much the fulfillment you want, and that can stem from like having comfort, like wanting to go back to the comfort. And this comfort is what's going to bring you so much satisfaction, but it's actually, there's better things out there for you that I believe that the universe is going to give to you the way that you're supposed to be given to it. And it's not. And also, the thing about this, which ties back to Inyeon, is that like I genuinely believe everything is in your control. Like, although things might not feel like it's in your control, it is in your control through the actions that you make every day, the beliefs that you live by day, and like how you live your life is really like how you add meaning and purpose to it. And sometimes, like, sure, like not everything is in your control, and that like everything that happens to you is obviously sometimes not the things that you want to happen to you, and you don't like go through it by choice. But in the end, like how you choose to go through it, I think is sometimes just the best answer, or like that's just how it's supposed to be. And you know what, the only way through some like the only way to get to the other end is just going right through it. And that's what I genuinely like grasp. This is the thoughts that I have when it comes to Inyeon, and like why I feel so much more optimistic when like bad things happen to me, because of this belief that everything is working in my favor, and what is meant for me will always be for me. And Inyeon is okay. So the thing that I feel like, so I kind of made that to like everything in my life. I like applied this to everything in my life, but Inyeon is specifically like it can. So you can apply it to every part of your life, like I did, which is makes it more general. This general concept, but Inyeon is mostly applied to relationships and like people that come into your lives. And the thing about Inyeon is like for me, like okay, it's so weird. So my mom told me her story with how she met my dad. And so my mom went through like heartbreak and blah 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 with her first love, and then after her first heartbreak she stopped believing in love. Like, she didn't trust in it, because sometimes, like, like you think that they're your everything, and then things just end. And I can get into more of her story like in the future, but she later met my dad, and when she first met my dad, she knew that she was gonna marry him. And I was like, what? Mom, what are you talking about? You are telling me that you knew when you were going to marry dad? Like, you just had a feeling, like, when you saw him, like, you were like, oh yeah, I'm gonna marry that guy. And she was like, yeah, I knew that this was the person I was gonna marry. Obviously, like, there was like many reasons that gave her this feeling, but like, then I was talking to my dad, the other side of things, and she was like, he didn't have the feeling that my mom had, like, to start off with, but he was telling me that Inyeon is something that you make, and it's something that you have control over. And there's the Inyeon where you don't have, where it just happens naturally, and then there's some aspects of Inyeon you you actively make decisions that create this like version of what you're fated to have. I don't know if that makes sense. Am I explaining this right? I'm sorry. I don't know if I'm explaining this right, but like, the reason why I started talking about this is to like say, like, I feel like sometimes there's like this feeling you get when you know that this person is your like inyan, like you're fated to meet this person. And I think what's important to like realize about this is like, I think it's easy to go into this tunnel visioning of like how, because like, you know, like how you break up with somebody, like some people are like, feel like, no, this person is the one for me, I can't let them go. But truly, like, you are supposed to let them go because they're just not good for you, but you're so stuck into this concept of that, this concept that you really love them and that you really want to be with them and you want them to be the person that you end with. And I think that's the hardest thing about heartbreak, is like letting go of that future that you guys built together. And I think the one thing that I want to say about Inyeon is that I hope, like, I think it's important to not go into that route of like soulmates when it comes to this concept. And I think a lot of people like mistake this, oh my gosh, this is somebody I'm destined to be with, so I need to only think about this person. Because I feel like that's something that can like tunnel visioning into like when you go into heartbreak, because like I feel like heartbreak really does make you feel like you lost your entire world and that you can't find anyone better. And it just really restricts you into this scarcity mindset where, like, because you've only been with this person and they're like your whole world, you think that that's the only thing that can give you that much happiness or love. And sometimes that person is the person you end up choosing and they come back into your life again. And that exactly is what I call inyan. But there's also that other half of like where you get your time to explore and find your individuality and just like be able to see that there are other people out there for you, even though that's not what you necessarily want. And it's really easy to be able to like stuck yourself into this mindset of like, oh, this person is meant for me. And I think like that's something that I think Inyeon can cause a lot of delusions, which again, delusions are not bad. You know, delusions are most definitely not bad, but I think it's important to separate Inyeon with that delusion, because like, yeah, because I think you can believe in Inyeon but still be able to let go of somebody that truly meant so much to you. And you do feel like this is like your end goal and this is the person that you want to spend the rest of your life with, because you know, like, circumstances happen. And I genuinely believe in right person, right time. And I learned and I came to the realization, I don't think there is a right person, wrong time, because I do think the right person will always come at the right time. And what I mean by that is like the right person will always come at the right time, even if that person is not like the person you end up with. I don't think what you define as the right person is the person you end up with. But during that time, that person could have been an amazing lesson for you. And that means they did come at the right time. Even if you wanted them to be your end goal, they came at the right time because they were supposed to teach you that, even if that's not something that is easy to come into realization for at the time. Yeah, I don't know why. I'm sorry. I kind of went into like there's a breakup thing, but this is like this is like in relation to Inyeon. I think a lot of people feel like they have an Inyeon with somebody, but sometimes that's really confused with just this heartache and grief and sorrow they feel for this person, and only time can tell. That's the thing about Inyeon, that I think is only time is the answer when you look back and you realize, oh, that was not your person. Because my mom at the time felt like her first love was her person and that she was supposed to marry this guy, but she looks back and she's like, I'm so happy I did not marry that guy. And like she realized her Inyeon was to separate with that guy and go through everything she went, whether that was her heartbreak, like all of the grief and sorrow, and it was to meet my dad. And like that comes back to what I said in the last episode about you can only connect the dots looking backward and not forward, because you never know what life has in store for you. So that's kind of my spiel, but I think it's like so easy to get into that delusion. Because like, do you guys like ever get this gut feeling when it comes to like somebody or something, that like the chapter isn't over and it truly isn't over? I don't know if that's a delusion because you like them so much or you want them in your life so much. So that's something like what I've been talking about like the past like couple minutes ago. Like it's just like I feel like it is a delusion because it's like you actually never know, and you need to stop putting yourself in like a static position. You always need to try to go for growth, and thinking that somebody is your Inyeon and like stopping everything for them is like kind of, I think, a little bit delusional, right? And I'm not saying this to hate, because I have been there, I have done that, but yeah, I think that's why this concept is so crazy and something that I believe in so much. And I think I make sure that like I don't make it like my identity. Like it's not something that I like so heavily believe in that I'll stop everything for it. Like I won't like oh, like I select somebody, I'm like, that person is my Inyeon. I went through so much shit with them. This person I'm supposed to end up with. But I like to just believe that this is what helped me through heartbreak too. It's like whatever happens will happen, and this separation happened for a reason, and I'm just gonna go through life. And if I happen to cross paths with this person again, I will like, well, I don't really have a choice. I'm crossing paths with them, and I can make a decision then if they're going to be in my life or not. But right now, I just need to focus on myself. And I think that's what I'd like to take out of all of this, out of the concept of Inyeon, because like at the end of the day, I just don't think I can go wrong. Obviously there's like very wrong, and there's very wrong and there's right answers in terms of like what's morally correct, what like how to move forward in a positive light. But like I think it's always just like open ended, and that's what I really love about life, even though it's so scary. And that's honestly for another episode. I'm going to be talking more about like heartbreak, breakups, scary future, all of these things. And like I just want to be able to sit down and like get more into depth with it, because I have a lot to say about it. Because let me just tell you, it taught me so much, but it also like made me think. I think heartbreak is exactly what made me think about Inyeon a lot more, because at the time that I watched past lives, I was going through a heartbreak. And let me just tell you, like, worst heartbreak of my life, but we'll get into that next time. But yeah, and I think that's why I was thinking about Inyeon and what. It's interesting. I believe in it, but I don't know what's in store for me, and that's like exactly like what's scary about it. It's not something that you can just determine for yourself. It's not like you don't really get a choice. That's what I'm saying. You don't really get a choice, but you do get to choose what you do towards what you want, what you want in your life. But yeah, anyways, I don't know if I'm contradicting myself. Maybe I am contradicting myself, but I wanted to just kind of talk in terms of like, like this is just like my discussion, my delusional, like, I don't know, my delusional feelings, everything that I just have in terms of Inyeon. I think it is so conflicting, like it's such a complex term itself that like I have like so many thoughts about it that sometimes it just doesn't even make sense, and you guys are witnessing this. So yeah. I'm sorry. That was just like a whole bunch, but I did also want to go into the red string theory because I keep on thinking about like destiny, fate, which is all about Inyeon. But oddly, something I really don't believe in is the red string theory. And I think I don't believe in it, even though like some people can say that the red string theory is like Inyeon. And I think in some ways it is. It's like this idea of fate. But the thing about Inyeon is I think it's so open ended. It doesn't constrict your destiny to be with one person, or like it's like you will meet that person again, but it's not necessarily as you will end up with that person. But I think red string theory is like you'll always, it's like a soulmate. It's the concept of soulmate. I could be wrong. Am I wrong, guys? Like, let me know if I'm wrong about this, but I do think from my knowledge, red string theory is like soulmates. Like you have this invisible red string that's tied to this one person, and no matter how like messy it gets or all like raveled up and you can't untie it, eventually it'll get untied and you'll meet that person, right? That's what red string theory is. And I feel like I don't agree with that because it puts you in a position where you are meant to be with that only that person, and you can only be with that person. But for Inyeon, it's like not only can you make your own Inyeon, I think, well, in my interpretation, me and my dad's interpretation of Inyeon, but okay, let's say your Inyeon is with this one person. You're fated to meet this person. You can ultimately make that decision if this is the person you want to choose to work things on with or let go of. And that in itself is Inyeon. Like even whatever choice you make, that's your Inyeon with that person. And your Inyeon with another person can be something else, you know? And so I think that's such a beautiful thing to think about, because like in the end, like although it like some things could be like your Inyeon can be really sad because you're ultimately ending something, it's also something so beautiful in that like it's your own start and new beginning. You make a conscious choice of it every single day. And in that way, it's your Inyeon, you know? Isn't that so beautiful? That's what, I don't know. I find that so beautiful. And you know what? I hope to be able to tell you guys in 10 years, come back to this moment and be like, yeah, that was my Inyeon. And I think that's something that really motivates me to just live the best version of myself every single day. And yeah, I'm going to rewatch Past Lives and let me know what you guys thought about Past Lives. I genuinely love talking about this concept, and I also really love just like hearing everyone's opinions of this like thing. I find it really interesting because this also kind of ties in love at first sight. Like a lot of people believe in it. I don't personally believe in it, but yeah, so let me know what you guys think about Inyeon and Past Lives, and like your critiques or the things that you guys loved about it. And so on that note, I talked about a lot about love unintentionally, but I feel like you can't really talk about Inyeon without talking about love, because it is about two people destined to meet each other, and it's not even just about romantic love. It can be, you know, familial love or friendships, you know. Because I talked about love so much, I thought this psych fact would be really applicable, and it's this concept: the love hormone that exists when you are in love is the well-known oxytocin, which represents the hormone that you get when you have this bonding with somebody, this pair bonding with somebody. And so people in romantic relationships tends to have higher levels of oxytocin. This is something that I thought was such a cool fact, and something that I was just like always wondering why it happens. So oxytocin has a positive impact on sleep. And I think a lot of people do report this, and a lot of my friends too. When you're in love, you get better sleep. And obviously like outside of the external circumstances, you know, like all the confounding factors, but like when you but like when you're in love, you just tend to like, like when you sleep better when your partner's next to you, or you just like get more peaceful sleep. Well, oxytocin plays a role in that. So it's shown that oxytocin helps people sleep better and more quickly because it increases restorative REM sleep episodes, which REM stands for rapid eye movement. It's often released during sexual activity, and that is also another reason that a lot of people get really exhausted and sleepy after they have sexual intercourse. Oxytocin can just be released while just being at the presence of somebody that you really love or somebody that you're really attached to. And that's not crazy. It's just like they're just there, and then oxytocin is like flowing throughout your body. So for men, oxytocin is released through like a lot of sleep. So like when a guy is comfortable with you, like, I don't know if you guys experience this, but when a guy is like with you, a lot of times they're yawning or like they're like sleepy, and then a lot of girls, like me included, but like a lot of my friends would also complain, be like, my boyfriend's always sleepy when they're with me. Am I boring? Or like, why are they like, are they tired of me? But fun fact, a lot of the time it's because oxytocin for them, their form of love and that hormone comes into comfort and sleepiness because they're so comfortable with you. They're sleepy, and but for girls it tends to come in like wanting to talk more, want to interact, and really like be up all in their face, and just like talk and just like get their attention and just want to interact with them and has spend some quality time. For guys, it's because they're so comfortable and like they get tired, and all of their like heightened alertness is like their walls are down. So if your boyfriend or significant other or like a guy or somebody is tired around you all the goddamn time, it's because they're like so comfortable with you. That's like a little like positive thing. Obviously it's not like 100% of the times, like maybe they're actually like really tired because of something and not like, I don't know. But like if it's like super super consistent, maybe that's an issue. But like, yeah, so that kind of like shines some light on why a guy might be so tired when they're with you. But I hope you guys enjoyed that fun fact, because that when I learned that, I was just like, huh, that makes so much sense. Or maybe it's my delusional mind being trying to make up excuses to why they're always tired. But like, no, but it genuinely is that. It's like I'm realizing like it's literally because they're just so comfortable with you, and that's such a great way to put it. Honestly though, if they're like always tired when they're with you like 24/7, then that's like a, maybe that's an issue. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that fact. Spread that around because it is such an informative fact that puts some light on both like the different biological psyche that girls and guys have. That is all for today's episode. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed this week's episode. Please leave a comment or feedback, anything that you guys want to mention, anything about past lives too, or your thoughts on Inyeon. I'd love to hear every single one of them. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I hope to see you guys next week on Wednesday. Every Wednesday, new episode out. Thank you guys. Bye.